What's up, and welcome to the Sword Art Online show. Ooh, we are excited because it's the finale. Can you believe it? Finale of this season. I don't want it to be over. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome all my guests. Thank you for being here. We'll go around. We got this way. There we go. Asuna herself, Cherami.
Hello.
And then, that way, I can point. Yes, Kayli. Got Alice and Alex von David, director for English dub, and does a lot more than just directing. So we will get into all of that as well.
I sleep too.
Yeah. Yes. And this is live, so if you're watching it live, we have the chat up. Please have your questions. If you're watching it later, no worries. Comment down below your thoughts on this epic finale. So now we're at the end. Cherami, how does it feel? This has been quite a ride. How does it feel to be at the end?
Yeah, I mean, well, I was seeing everybody's posts over the weekend of like, this has been so much fun to work on this show. And it hadn't really hit me until I was seeing everybody's posts today. And I was like, this could be the end of this journey. And I remember Alex said something at the end of the session. He's like, it's so fun being on this ride with you. I was like, what's he talking about? We're going to come back and do more. And then I was like, well, actually, we don't know. We never know. So yeah, it's very bittersweet. It was a great episode. It's been a great season. It's been a great ride. I was thinking about like, this was the first show first voiceover project that I did when I moved out to Los Angeles. So it's very bittersweet, but I feel very honored to have been on the journey, and I was impressed with everybody who's been a part of the show, and I love each and every person. So I'm sad, but I'm very grateful to have been a part of it.
Nice. And Kayli, you've hopped in on this back end of this long-running show, but been a big part of it. How's it feel for you?
Yeah, it's also weird for me because when I watched SAO originally, I think I was still in high school.
It's been going on for a while.
I would have never imagined it would still be happening, or that I would ever have the chance to audition for it or be a part of it at all.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. So to have been now a part of it for, even though it's the back end so long, like it's still been over 2 years since Alicization started being dubbed, and like it's incredible. Like it still blows my mind to think about that, like the timeline and perspective of like, oh, this was like baby Kayli watching this show, and then she was in it, and now it's like ending again. Maybe there'll be something, but we have no idea. This could be the end of this. So like I don't think my mind's been wrapped around it yet. Like I've also seen a lot of people's posts of like, because I'm so grateful and I want to write something too, but there's just so much in my brain about it. Like I haven't come to terms with it yet, or like figured out how to put the thoughts into words. That's why this is such a mess right now. But yeah, I am very grateful, and thank you so much for having me on this journey. It's like amazing to work with all of you, and Cherami is an actor I've looked up to forever, and Alex's work and all that. So yeah, it's crazy. It still is.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. It's one of those you think about and you're like, oh my gosh, this show's been around for a long time. And that's like great that it's been able to keep going. And then we have fun. And then for Alex too, we got a shout out for you. And then where did it go?
Thank you.
If everybody missed last week,
oh, motherfucker.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I told
Apologies,
you
ladies. Apologies.
And if you missed last week's, go watch that as well. There was a lot of fun swearing. And if you haven't missed these episodes, you should go subscribe to my channel, click the thumbs up, and go watch previous episodes with all the other amazing cast and Alex too, talking about stuff. But yes, Alex, how does it feel for you at the end of this chunk of, who knows if this is the end, but it's the end of at least this bit of this show?
I mean, it's kind of what Cherami just said. It's last night, I did a little post on Twitter and stuff saying, hey, okay, so it's the final episode of the War of Underworld arc, and that's it for Sword Art on Cherami for whatever. And then, I don't know, an hour later or something like that, I got a DM. So I went on Twitter and I saw all these like notifications and stuff. And so I started reading a couple, and that's when I started going like, oh yeah, it is over. You know, you put a lot of yourself into this. I mean, I can't speak for the actors, but obviously, you know, Cherami and Kayli put like their all into the characters, into their performances and stuff. And as usual, I mean, you can't ask for a better actors than these two right here. They're fantastic. And Kayli, you just get better and better. You've only been doing this for what, 5 years now, professionally? Maybe 6?
I mean, 8 if you count the first time I got an internet job that paid me money.
Okay,
yeah,
so 8 years.
I've only been out here for 5. So.
Okay, so as long as I've worked with you, so only like 4 or 5 years or something and stuff. I mean, you just keep getting better and better and better. And I mean, you know, working with people like Cherami and stuff. I mean, it's, you know, it's they pour their hearts into it. You know, they show up to do the job. You know, and they're super smart. Everybody on Sword Art was like really super sharp as actors and stuff. And, you know, you've adapting the scripts, you think that things are going to work one way once you start recording it. And then, you know, actors kind of spin it off in a different direction, or they bring some good points up during recording. And then you figure out what the best thing for the scene is. And then hopefully it works. And, every time I watch the mix of one of these episodes to make my little comments about sync or, you know, levels or something like that, you know, it was always neat watching it just as kind of like an audience again. And then last night watching it as the audience again, it was like, oh man, you know, it's, you know, I miss it. So.
I agree with this one too, and maybe it's just because I watched it more in real time. SAO Alicization felt like it lasted a long time, and then kind of a question off of that. Excuse me. So it seems to be a pretty long arc. What has been a favorite moment for you, Alex, to adapt and direct? And then we'll go around for favorite parts for our ladies as well. But we'll start for Alex.
Oh, I guess it was the Yu-Gi-Oh, the last episode with Yu-Gi-Oh in it, his death. Well, not the last episode he was in, but it was his last episode alive. That was I mean, that was, you know, it was tough to hit those mouth flaps with things that needed to be said at that time, but I think I figured it out okay. I know Brandon and Bryce, you know, worked the hell out of that scene. With that, we recorded that, of course, back when we could all go into the studio to record, so it was definitely a lot easier to do it. But I guess that would have to be my favorite episode out of all the episodes of Alicization and War of Underworld. So.
And then, Cherami, what about you? What's been one of your favorite moments in the Alicization arc? And it could be behind the scenes too, and that's for Kayli as well. You know, if it's maybe not necessarily what actually made it to screen, but maybe a recording process or anything like that.
I remember a scene that I really enjoyed in the Alicization arc, and it was one of the last. I remember the last scene or episode I got to work on before we were doing things from home, and that was the scene where her arm gets chopped off. And that was my last day in studio. And I did not, like, looking back on it, I didn't think that was the last time that I would be in studio. And that is probably the most upsetting part about ending the show, if this is the end, is that it would be the end and I did not get to, like, interact with Alex and June or whoever was recording in person for the last scene. Because I remember there was one scream that I really wanted to get right, and we were doing it from home. And I remember we did it so many times that Alex was like, "We've got it. You don't have to do it again." And I was like, "I don't know if it's exactly right. Can I just try it again?" Because it's so weird when you're hearing it via Zoom on the playback and you're like, I don't know if it's hitting the levels it's supposed to be hitting. And so you don't know how it's going to mix properly. And then the delay, are you getting the sync exactly right? There's obviously a lot of trust when you're recording in person. But we've kind of finessed all of that. With this, there's a lot more of like, you do the best that you can. Picture might be a little laggy. And then you go, what do you think? And the engineer's like, I'm going to make it work. They're like, it was a great performance. And you're like, I don't know how they're going to make it work. I never know how they're going to make it work. But for me, it's harder to remember specific moments when I'm recording from home. And I don't know if that's because like the banter, the interaction isn't there to help connect to those moments, because I can remember exact moments, exactly which booth we were recording in, what Alex said from even the very first episode. And for whatever reason, it's like a weird amnesia thinking back to Alicization of like an exact pinpointed moment, because I was always here in the closet downstairs. I don't know. I'm probably the only one who's had that experience.
No, it totally makes sense, because if you're going to a studio, it's a different day.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels different, like just going somewhere in your
We
own home.
joke about stuff. I mean,
Kind of
like,
blur.
for Mother's Rosario, I remember exactly what Alex was saying when I had the big scene with Erica, and he was like, "This is not like you. You're holding back a little bit." And I remember thinking, I thought I was going all out, and then I was like, I'm going to level with him, and I said, my great aunt just passed away 2 weeks ago, and he was like,
I remember.
and I need you to say all of this to her, and I did that take. And I was like, I can clean him up. And he was like, we're not cleaning it up. That is the take that will be used. And Alex has always been what I started in film and then did a little bit of theater and various other forms. But the most acting I've done is in film and voiceover. And those are like my two loves. And when Alex directs specifically, in anime, there's usually like a stylistic vibe that everybody wants to achieve. And when Alex directs, it feels like a really fun blend of like the honest reality that comes with film, and then also the technical and presence that has to come with voiceover when you have to kind of amplify things to convey it just through voice. And I don't know if I would have gotten that moment, or if somebody would have taken that time to get that performance out of me, which also ended up being very healing for me as a person going through the grieving process, because that was the first time I had actually talked about it. But I would not have had that moment, I don't think, at home, because there's so much you can see through the window of our subtext and body language and all that stuff. And I think that adds to the experience.
Were you happy with the scene when you finally heard it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I was gonna say that's all that matters in the end, right? Of like what it is amazing to hear the process that all of you have gone through, especially talking over the course of this season. And clearly, you know, it's making an impact with fans. So thank you everybody for all your comments too. And then everybody who's watching this later and loving everybody on Twitter too. It's been fantastic. And then I'd say to all the actors too, thank you for sharing your personal experiences in that way too, because it really, you know, it's very open, and it's really kind of beautiful, even if they're sad situations as well. So I was going to say an awkward pivot. Kayli, what about you? What's been a favorite moment over the course of Alicization, either from specifically the recording process or watching a final product? Up to you.
There's been so much. I mean, from the very beginning, Brandon and I found out that we were cast at like the same time, and Brandon and I were like roommates for a while. He like chilled on my couch for a couple months when he was trying to make it work in LA. So we freaked out about that. That was just like super awesome friendship moment thing. The thing about Alice for me is she's one of the characters I relate to the most, but like not in the I'm super comfortable, know everything about this character, like let's go away, but in the way that she kind of hit all the points that made me feel uncomfortable and like I didn't know myself. And so there's like a lot of growth I went through as like a human and as an actor working with Alice, and being uncomfortable. But it worked because she also was uncomfortable. Like that was what made it real for the character, for me. And so I just had to kind of lean on Alex a lot, because I was like, I don't know if that felt right. I don't know what it's supposed to be like right now. And maybe I wasn't supposed to know a lot of the time. So there was a lot of learning to trust in the process, and let it like affect me later on. Like I, learn from that and grow. So that was just such an incredible experience. And then working from home near the end, especially, you're dealing with a lot of Alice's emotions of feeling lonely and being in your closet at home and not really being able to see the people that you grew with. And
so method acting, yeah.
Yeah, that you could bring that into it a lot, even if it kind of makes you feel a little sad after. But yeah, that was interesting. I liked being able to use that for something.
Yeah. Thank you again, everybody's comments coming in. We got a fun question here. Is there any bloopers that anybody can share that they remember while recording, or a funny way that you finished a line? Alex, were there any that stood out of the actors' performances that you were like?
So Kendall, I know Kendall, you do too, Cherami. She cosplays Xenon a lot. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
No, Liz. It was Liz, right,
Okay.
Kendall? Is it Liz?
I'll let you know if it pops up on the quote.
Okay. Yeah, so her and her troupe would come out to AX, and they would cosplay for Aniplex and stuff as the characters. And so the bloopers at our panels were always kind of like a big hit. Everybody, hey, how's it going? So the bloopers were always a big hit. And yeah, there were a lot of, bad words spoken during things, but like, we would read, I would adapt lines that were obviously, blooper type lines and stuff. And then, like Cherami and Bryce and whoever would speak the lines in the scene and the character and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, for pretty much all of Alicization and War of Underworld, I didn't do that. So there are no bloopers.
Answered that question.
Other than actors messing up and the occasional Bryce messing around, because he did that once or twice, maybe just a handful of times. I recall over the course of Alicization and War of Underworld, where he'd just throw out some kind like ad-libbed funny line or something like that.
I'm so not brave enough to do that. I was doing another session and I joked about it and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to intentionally say the wrong line because it's funny. And then I didn't. I prepped them, like, get ready, I'm going to do it. And then I said the line. They were like, I thought you were going to make a joke. I go, I got scared. I'm too type A. I couldn't do it. One day Bryce will wear me down and I will I don't know.
You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
You just got to go for it.
Kids also do that? Would like, after he would do a scream, they would start screaming, or would they wait until the session was over?
I think I remember him saying something like one of his kids actually started screaming when he was screaming, and they fucked up a take.
At one point, we did a socially distanced visit, and I went over, I saw them, and Ella was like, "Do you want to hear me do my dad's sword art scream?" Scream, and I was like, "Bryce, that's really good, actually. Like, she's 5." And Bryce's wife Samantha was like, "It's so much." She just runs around the house screaming.
Oh my God, like Kirito.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So unfortunately, I didn't write any bloopers. There may be a handful of little Bryce things, and then I didn't save any, or I didn't ask the engineer to save any of the like blown takes. Just because, for actors, a blown take, I mean, it's not always really funny to hear their voice suddenly, they lose their voice in the middle of a yell, or they just kind of go, they're saying a line and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I fucked that up." It's like after 6 of those, it stops being funny, right? So, I mean, I don't think if Aniplex ever does a sword art panel for Alicization and War of Underworld, there won't be any bloopers, unfortunately.
Unless you did it for us and we did it live later.
But it's also
Kindle is a good
hard.
question if you filmed it yourself, but I don't know how many people are filming while they're working. So
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
There's
okay.
also that. I mean, especially for the last year, it's like the stress of just doing the record from home and stuff. There's no like, you can't really waste time because your connection may go down in the next, minutes. So every take counts. And all of the actors, at least the ones I've been working with, everyone shows up on point. There's no fucking around. It's like, okay, we're here to get this done. Let's do the best it can. I got to ride my own game now and stuff and pay attention to all this junk. So the actors are already in kind of like a heightened sort of state of tension for the most part.
Sense.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like, and for me, I'm just like hoping everything like is in sync and that everybody's getting a clean signal and, that we can hopefully get this as quickly as possible, because I mean, our schedules for recording haven't changed all that much. I tend to pump the brakes with the shows I work on a lot, just because it's kind of like, look, I mean, I can't do 20 takes remotely, so I got to talk someone through this a little bit longer, or I got to preview it 3 times so the person really understands the beats of this scream that's going to happen, or their scene or whatever. The thing I'm working on right now, I had to preview something for one of the actors like 4 times because because of the lag and all this stuff, it was just a little overwhelming. So it's everyone has to be on point more than usual. And yeah, so it's not fun. It's not as fun as like everybody being there in the studio and doing stuff. Yeah, it's very challenging. So apologies, fans.
Well, everybody's been saying how amazing it has been how it's turned out. So you all are doing an amazing job, as well as the engineers too. We have I like this as a fun question. Give you a minute to start, think about it too. So we'll start with Kayli. What has been your favorite sword? But I'll also open it up. What's been one of your favorite weapons or attacks from the show?
Oh, that's hard. I liked when they used magic a whole lot. In the second arc, I thought that was a lot of fun. Sword wise, I think maybe it's just because I'm in Alicization, but like the blue rose sword that has Yu-Gi-Oh in it, because it's kind of Yu-Gi-Oh. So
yeah. Cherami, what about you?
I'm gonna do, this is classic, I know, and I'm stealing it from the little Asuna figure I have right in front of me, but like obviously the classic.
Nice. And then Alex, what about you? Do you have a favorite?
The Elucidator.
Yeah.
The Elucidator. Yeah.
Nice. Great questions, everybody. Let's scroll down. I was looking for it, so I was like, I found your question. I was taking a minute. I'm like, wait, I want to find it. Everybody have his great stuff. So let's go into the episode a bit. So it's the finale, episode 23, New World. I do love that Alice essentially mailed herself to Kirito. That one of the strange but true, that really did happen one time back. I don't know what year it was, but it's like one of those like early 1900s or somebody. Like somebody mailed their child to somebody because it was cheaper to send it as like a package than as like buying a train ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, totally, it's happened. So
did they arrive alive?
Everything was fine. Yeah. It's just like they had like a ticket on their clothing as if they were like a package.
Wow.
But I would just be worried about like their safety.
Yeah.
Not even just like. But anyway,
I want to know that experience. Like if you're the person at the counter working for
you're like, when
the shipping, like at what point do you go, we don't have a law against this, but I ethically have a problem with this. I don't know. That's weird. I would like to see how that all played out beginning to end.
I would say it's almost as exciting as trying to ship a tarantula, but that's a whole other story. So Alice ships herself, and I do like, hey, she ships herself. Yes. I do like that she essentially ships herself. Why did she have to ship herself naked? She could have had clothing on.
Well, apparently the clothing was in the box. But you know what? If she ships herself, then her clothes would get wrinkled, and the position that she was in is probably something that her clothes can't really, it would tear a seam or something. That's what I thought. Because I thought of that too when I was like watching it the first time. I'm like, where's her clothes?
Yeah.
What was that, Kayli? I'm sorry, I talked over you.
No, I talked over you. Sorry. Maybe it was a respect thing because that wasn't like a uniform she bought. Like it was a gift.
Okay.
And she probably she really loves that uniform because it's the uniform like all of the people who loved her gave her. So maybe that is possible.
And of course, she's strategically, like covering everything just the right way. But I do like that she has that, like, okay, I know this is awkward and everything. Can you help me get out of the box? Unpack me, please. So, Kayli, these next parts, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So, one, it's the fact that she mails herself. Two, she wanted to see face-to-face in physical form, and the really kind of emotional bit of, who am I to you? And I really appreciated her, like, I would have helped you, and almost a sense of betrayal of, your warrior companion has, doesn't think they need you almost. And it's like, she's all, whoa, hold up. I would have totally been there for you and done everything. So Kayli, what were those scenes like for you to record? And then what did you think of that kind of stance that Alice took of how she felt?
Yeah, those were some of the more emotional scenes for her because she had been really repressing that to like kind of be like this public figure when she came into the world, and this is kind of where she was unloaded. So this was like a very vulnerable, the most vulnerable we've really seen her.
Yes.
With Kirito there, and she said like I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know like, what purpose I have anymore. If I and I think that was also kind of maybe hurtful to him a little because he knew that she had to go and that she wanted to stay and protect the underworld and she couldn't. So,
well, I was going to say we could ask Kirito how he felt about it because we got a little special surprise, everybody. What's up, Bryce?
No way!
Yay!
What's up, guys?
Hi.
You guys just hanging out?
Yeah,
we've just been
chilling.
hanging out.
You
Yes.
missed the donuts.
Oh,
Is this your new booth?
I'm inside my new booth.
Very cool.
It feels
Yay.
so good to not be inside a tiny little closet. And thank you for letting me crash late, much like Kirito in War of the Underworld. I was here for most of the good stuff, but at least I could join a little bit here for some fun.
Yes. Well, Bryce, we were just talking about the moment where Alice arrives naked because, she just didn't want to mess up her clothes. I like that line of logic we were going with of, yes, it's respectful to the clothing and, her moment of, what am I to you? And how was it of that realization of him explaining how he says that she is my hope, that he says that she's hope. So what was like that? How was that for you to record? And then what did you think of how Kirito approached Alice in that?
Wow, jumping right into it.
Hard-hitting question.
It's just like the show. Kirito wakes up in the middle of battle. We're like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, what's happening? What episode are we?
You can take over now.
It's over now.
Oh, so many great moments in the series, and yeah, I mean, I think Kirito really believes that Alice is something special, and has really grown to love all of the people in the underworld as real people. To him, they're not anything different than himself, and he's lived with them so long and essentially grown up with them. So it's this level of hope for him. Yeah. But all those moments that she catches him off guard and he's so awkward and trying to carefully get around what's going on and he's not always great at it. I just love playing those moments.
There are some wonderfully awkward moments. The next kind of bit that's like adorably awkward that I'd be curious if Asuna would have peeped in and been like, what is going on? We get the dojo and playing kendo, which totally actually, not playing kendo, they're going to have a sword fight, which I love that because it totally makes sense of like, hey, Alice, here's a real world application of sword fighting that we could do safely. Yeah, I like that they break and a nice convenient, oops, let me fall on you. Because anime.
I think Asuna is just like the most secure female ever that she's just like, I think for her too, like, well, I mean, I think Asuna is, she's an amazing cook. She's a great warrior. I think she's adorable. Like she's a catch. So I know if at any point Kirito was like, I don't know if this is the right match for us anymore, which I don't think that would ever be the case. But if it was, while Asuna would be heartbroken, I don't think that she's gonna have any trouble finding another partner. Not to make Kirito feel threatened in any way. But I think she's just very secure in her relationship that when things like this happen, she's like, all right, whatever. This is a little
used to it by now.
A little questionable, but yeah, I mean, she's had a couple of other like, what's going on here? And by this point, I think she's like, oh, like we've joked many a time. We're like, well, welcome to the crew, everybody. This has happened so many times before. We know what this turns out to be, whatever.
Yes. So then we have the family dinner, which was actually really kind of nice to see that dynamic because we generally are seeing such young people.
Never seen it before.
Yeah.
And
first time in Sword Art.
Oh, well, look at that. And I like Alice coming to the defense of Kirito. So Kayli, what was that like of, Alice goes, whoa, hold up. Does a great job. And then the family's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, no, I thought that was so sweet. But I also thought that took so much bravery for her because you might be like, oh, she's like fought in like wars against all of these powerful people. But like she's in this totally unfamiliar place with people in their home and she's still like stood up to them. And that was because she cares about Kirito that much and she's like willing to put that on the line. And then, I did at first suspect her parents to be like a little bit, but like, no, they got it right away too. And there's just like so much mutual respect. And I feel like in anime, so often everything's so like polarized and everything has to be a problem. But like, there was just like this adult understanding situation. And it's like, oh, Kirito's growing up too. Everyone's, reaching that age and they're handling these situations, not like children. And all of that was very cool to see.
Yeah. And then
father.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
No, I love that. It was such a respect thing for her. She had I had no idea that's how it came off at all. It's so funny how like
and Leigh felt like, excuse me?
It's funny how kind of klutzy she is about certain things. The same with like when she has the PJs on. She has no idea. Like she has to be pointed out to her.
Just a t-shirt.
Yeah, just a t-shirt. And then she's like, and she's like, oh. He's like,
Well, but yeah, it makes sense if she's like new to this world and new to the social graces and the way all those things work. Somebody's got to talk to her and walk her through that. That's not something she should just know.
Totally.
Yeah, she hasn't had a normal childhood.
Yeah,
this is true. Bryce, how was it for you? Because also, we mad props to the father figure here because, he comes across almost very stern, but then says, no, live your life without any regrets. It was like, wow, that is like the best parenting approach of it's okay that you've changed your mind. So Bryce, how was it for you for Kirito in this scene? Because, he's had many a different type of battles, and this almost is like a battleground of I've changed my mind. Is it okay? So how was that scene for you?
I thought it was really interesting that was a piece of the story that needed to be highlighted. Seeing Kirito now outside of the underworld, back to the real world, so to say, and still dealing with battles in a different way. I thought that was really interesting to see that scene play out. And yeah, great parenting advice. Live your life. Don't regret anything. I love that.
Do you remember? Oh no, I was going to ask. Do you remember if John DeMita plays your uncle slash stepdad? Do you remember if he was recorded when you recorded your lines?
I don't think he was. I think
okay.
he came in first on that particular scene.
Okay.
So yeah, for you guys that are watching, when we see this back on Toonami, it's the first time that we're watching the show mixed. And sometimes we come in and record first, or the other actors can record first, and we get to play off them, which is always a treat. But for this particular scene, it was the first time I was seeing it come together. I think I might have been the first one in the scene. I'm not sure. It's hard to put back. But I think for this one, I was one of the early ones in this scene.
And
yeah, John, when we were, sorry to interrupt, Carrie.
Yeah. Well, actually, you could probably tie it into what I think your answer might be of what was it like to direct this kind of a scene? Because as you said, haven't been a regular family dinner conversation. And so that's a big shift of tone of what this show is normally like. It's a lot more high energy, and this is a different kind of high energy and different kind of tension.
It's weird. It's like anything else. It's I try and make sure that the actors know what the point of this whole scene is. And so I just let them know ahead of time. Okay, so here's the scene where you're going to sit down at dinner. I totally forgot what I mentioned to Kayli or Bryce. But those two, everybody here watches the show before they come in. I think, wait a second, Cherami, you stopped watching the show. You would come in cold, right?
Yeah.
Bryce, do you come in cold too, or did you watch the subtitled version before you came in?
It always depends on the show. For Sword Art, I couldn't stop watching. I started and then I just couldn't stop. Sometimes I try not to.
That's why I stopped, because I tried to watch a couple episodes before my very first session with Alex for season 1, and I ended up staying up all night. And I watched the entire season. And we know what happens to Asuna. So I knew exactly what was coming. And he was like, don't do that. You can only watch like 2 episodes in advance. And then because Asuna went through so much throughout every single season, I was like, I can't chance it. I'm just going to learn as we go, because otherwise I know too much. And I'll just be so sad for what she's going to have to deal with.
It's so hard if you're on Twitter, though, because like the fans are right on it. Like the second that drops, did you know that this happens to Alice? And I was like, I do now.
Yeah, I do now. And now I am so sad. Thank you.
So sad.
So I mean, it's just letting the actors know what scene's coming up. Okay, this is the scene at the dinner table, and if the actor has watched the show ahead of time, then they know, so this is where my character gets to do something kind of quirky or funny or awkward. Like with Alice and Kayli, it was like Kayli knew that this awkward moment was gonna, come up. It was interesting though. Caitlin Glass plays Kirito's aunt, and John DeMita plays his uncle. And when John came in to record, I remember there were at first he played like the first couple of lines really stern, and I'm like, well, okay, so I guess it sounds kind of like the Japanese because he sounds kind of stern, but here's what's going on behind the dialogue. It's, you love your nephew. I mean, you raised him as your son, basically, and you're not disappointed in him necessarily for changing his mind and doing all this stuff. Number one, you just got to clear the air and say, listen, don't go off without telling your stepmom / aunt where you're going, because we can't have you disappearing for a week, getting stuck offshore in a coma, right? It's like we need to know what's going on with you and stuff like that. So
which is only fair, it's like, please let us know you're alive,
I mean, honestly, he was in a coma, so what could he do? But the fact that he had that job on the sly and didn't tell his folks about it, that was like, a big deal about, his stepdad / uncle was kind of like pissed about that. But after that, then it became, hey, look, kid, don't worry about it. You know, like Bryce said, it's like, you know, it's it's he's giving him just a little bit of a gentle sort of life lesson, because he trusts Kirito. You know, he knows his son.
And they have the moment where they're just like, I know who you are, Black Swordsman, and Kirito.
Exactly. So they know all about him. They know he's an upstanding guy. He's someone of good character. They raised a good kid, you know, and it's just, hey, you know, he just needs a little nudge here. Hey, just, you know, make sure you don't keep secrets about your jobs anymore, because we need to know what's going on with you. And don't worry about changing your mind. You know, it's, you're growing up. You're not supposed to have all the answers at 17, 18 years old. Some people are 35 and they don't have all the answers. It's, you know, everybody's got a different journey that they walk. And, you know, you gotta be easy on yourself, and you just gotta keep your eyes open, and, you know, make sure that you're doing things for the right reasons. But that was an interesting sort of like conversation I had with John while we were recording that. He's a dad, and he also directs dubs too, as well as voice acts in them, and, you know, he teaches acting and all this stuff. He's really wonderful to work with and talk to about stuff. I think he had fun at the end of the session. I think he really had fun digging into that kind of stuff. He was just on for a little bit, but still, I think he enjoyed himself. So,
well, it's a short scene, but it's memorable. And as we've said, like, these are amazingly supportive parents, even if they're not, you know, biologically his parents, they're parent figures. So, because they could have been extremely like, this is awful, you're grounded, you can't go anywhere, you know, like they could have. I was going to say, speaking of knowing all the answers and keeping your eye open, we get the network connection established. And that was such a cool visual. So Kayli, Alice has like this supercomputer ability of, I can tap into the machine and let me just print it for you. It was almost comedic. Like, here, I can't explain it. So Kayli, what was that scene like for you of like Alice literally tapped into the machine?
That was just cool. I don't know. That was just straight up cool, but I wasn't expecting it either. I didn't know that they had given her that ability to like just anything that's on Bluetooth that she can just. She's got
a robot body. She's Wi-Fi.
So also then, side note on that, Alex, how does she not like kill Kirito by falling on top of him if it's a robotic body? Are we thinking it's like a lighter based metal or something?
It's probably lighter based metals. I mean, she still hurts him, like, you know, with the
headbutt. She headbutts him.
Still,
yeah.
Yeah, it's still metal and stuff, but she's not like the Ichiemon body, which is very sort of big and lumbering. You know, this was the body that Higa and Kikuoka were trying to sort of fashion, what they were talking about way back in the first part of Alicization, that they were looking for something that was a lightweight metal and stuff like that. Oh, by the way, I don't want to interrupt, but has anyone gone to the actual IP address that's on the piece of paper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool.
What happens? I was like, ooh. Okay.
Just type it in your browser, and there's a special little thing there. Yeah, it's really cool.
Such a great Easter egg.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's a really cool, you know, bring the real world in. Yeah. And incorporate that first. Ooh.
It's very meta.
Leave comments down below if you've gone to it and how cool is it. I definitely thought that was really interesting. Oh yes, that's when we have a couple fun moments. We have the moment we already talked about where Alice shows up in pretty much a t-shirt, and Kirito's like, "Whoa, hold up." And the other great moment of, is it okay if we bring Asuna, and the Alice like eye twitch? Like, sure, three's a crowd, but I guess. So Bryce, what was that like of, you know, I mean, we could say the earlier scene when Alice first shows up, it's a very, you know, platonic and fine on his end. He's just like, I'm here to support you. And she's maybe a little bit more affectionate. But this was a fun moment of like, do you mind if I bring my girlfriend?
Yeah. That's exactly how I tried to play it. And I love those little awkward moments. It's fun to find just the right combination of like awkwardness and just to get the point across that it's uncomfortable for him to do that. but he always finds himself in those situations.
He's a magnet.
He's not trying to. That's the thing. He's himself. And you might argue differently, Cherami. He's not trying to find this trouble.
Look, in all of the things that I've read in my 30 years on this planet, everybody says if something keeps happening in your life, it's just because it's a lesson you haven't learned, and each time is an opportunity to learn that lesson. Maybe Kirito just doesn't want to learn the lesson, or he doesn't think that there's anything wrong with it. He's like, I'm not attracted. We're just friends.
I feel he's just a slow learner. Like, this is a challenge for him.
He'll get there.
It's taken him 10 plus years, but you know.
Fair, he has had to learn how to live in completely different universes, and he's been in a lot of comas and needed a lot of recovery. So
and it's okay in those universes. So
it's okay. Yeah. It's a lot to learn.
So we get the next shift as well. This is probably the biggest, wait a minute. Speaking of wait a minute moments, we get Rinko back again, and we have Yui as well. I mean, she's popped up as well, other parts, but they're going to help Asuna, Kirito, and Alice go back in, and they're going to check out how the Underworld's doing. It's Stella year 582. I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, giant WTF. Like, what? We shifted genres a little bit a couple times in this show, but shifting to outer space mecha suits, robots, well, we're not quite to the robots yet, but I feel we could go there. But
it's Sword Art. Anything is possible.
Right. Yes. Okay, thank you. I was about to say, Cherami, so how'd you feel in that big kind of reveal of surprise outer space?
So I worked on a live action dub for a show called Dr. X a few years ago, and we did all these seasons, and then the final season they're like, and she's in space, and that's the way the show ended. And each time there'd be a new season, there'd be a crazy cliffhanger. And so when Alex was like, and this is when they're in space, I was like, oh, because space. And he's like, no, really. And then they cut, and I was like, oh, we're really in space. So now the joke is for me, because this has happened to me multiple times now. Anytime anybody wants to say, and then we're going to take this to the furthest place, they're going to say, in space. And I'll say, sure, whatever. But it's been true all the time someone's done it. So I guess I should just learn and go, of course we're in space. Where else would we go? The final frontier.
It was a bit of a weird shift. Thank you, Kindle. I agree. It was a bit what?
well, if Kindle, if you remember in the light novels, in the chapter right before, that's when Kirito's like, it's been 200 years. We don't know what's going on there, because you guys got your memories erased. The only thing you remember is just the first little bits and blobs of the first couple of months that you and Asuna were there, sort of helping the Underworld. So it's you guys don't recall how you helped the place evolve. And well, this is what you did. It's fucking Star Wars now.
Also so beautiful. And that's very much on trend for Sword Art. They're like, let's find the most magical universe that we can create that will make for beautiful animation.
You guys evolved it into having cosmic Cthulhu's space monsters with all sorts of tentacles. Sword Art has a bad reputation with tentacles, right? So I'm just saying, you could have evolved it in a different direction, guys.
Awkward.
What happened
No,
to
I'm
Kirito and
Asuna?
Early in the season, I'm notoriously bad at guessing what's going to happen. And Alex had read the light novel, so he knew where the story was going and made sure to, direct appropriately for that. And we were talking about it, and I was just like, I have no idea, how this is going to play out. And Alex said kind of quickly, yeah, they'll be in space fighting a flying spaghetti monster. I'm like, what? And I thought he was just joking. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, SAO in space. And you're like, no, really? I'm like, what? And then he's talking anything else. And I'm like, how is this going to play out? How are they going to get there? So it happened. It really happened.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting shift. But as we've said, it's been time, but they point out how much has changed. But before, when the administrator was really restricting growth, that kind of makes sense of why for so long nothing really progressed the same way. Now, if you remove that, it's like, oh, okay, they've really set that up, so that goes forward for sure. Kayli, what did you think of Surprise Alice in Space?
I watched the episode. I was like, okay, they're probably just gonna like go to the cathedral and get her sister and everything's gonna be happy. And I just like look away or like grab water for a second and I look back and there's just space and I'm like, do I have like quarantine brain? Did I just like miss like 10 years of content? And so I go back and I just watch it again and just like have to pause it and just like okay.
Just go with it.
There's nothing to do but accept it at that point.
Yep.
I love space, so it was cool after that.
It is an interesting shift for the show, and I like that our heroes are safe, by the way, because, if they had just popped in outer space and not essentially God status, I feel that could go very dangerous very quickly. But it's like, no, they're fine. They're glowing.
Just landing anywhere in outer space being unprepared sounds horrifying to me. So,
right?
It's not like, mm-mm.
I feel like this is a Doctor Who and they're looking for the planet and they're like, the planet is supposed to be right here. And they're
That's
like,
what they were doing.
Exactly.
That's exactly what they were doing when they logged in. They were like, where's the ground?
What's happening?
So question then, we kind of get to this next bit. We have the descendants of some favorite beloved characters, which was really kind of cool. We have Laura and is it Stika?
Yeah, Stika and Laura and I.
I like how she just calls her Laura. I'm like, cool, abbreviation. Yeah. They're buddies. Are descendants of Ronier and Tisei. So how would they know? I assume it's maybe been a legend passed down, of who these people were in the past. But they really seem to be like, I know them.
So 200 years. Kirito and Asuna were there for 200 years. So they've probably had, because Ronier and Tisei and all the gang, they were all close with them. So, I mean, Kirito and Asuna probably, took them out to play when they were little kids. Or maybe it was a legend. I don't know. The book didn't go any further than what the anime did, where these characters are like, so I think for Deneen and Kimberly, I think they both asked about it. They're like, do we know them? And I said, well, even in the novels, it's not too clear. It doesn't specify that, Kirito and Asuna helped raise them or took them to, Underworld Disneyland or some shit. So I said, well, it's probably they heard the legends. They probably read about them in books because, of course, there would be books about Kirito and Asuna and how they helped free the underworld, and books about Yu-Gi-Oh. But then that also, when Stika, wait, is it Stika? When she sees Yu-Gi-Oh's spirit?
Yeah, she seems more affected by it as well. And I mean, I guess just how you think of your descendants of a connection to someone.
Well, I think that also ties in with like the sort of the what these souls have in the underworld is they have this kind of memory that's in their cells, like it's part of their DNA, and so she gets affected seeing Yu-Gi-Oh because Yu-Gi-Oh is a part of her. Like that's her great grandmother was so like affected by Yu-Gi-Oh personally that it carried on throughout all these generations. That said, I have not read any of the novels after 18, so I know that there's a story, a side story in the next volume about Ronier and Tisei that may explain a little bit about how these two ladies, or how their granddaughters know about them, about Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito and Asuna and all that stuff. So Yes,
Well,
they do look the same. Genetics.
right? But it's like those things that some grandchildren can look exactly like their grandparents and such. So it's not that
I look like my dad.
out there.
I look
Well,
like
I mean,
my
like
dad.
when it's further generations where
Sure.
it can be, they look more like. Yeah, so that was such a fun shift, and we get spaceships and the abysmal horror, which I do like. That's an interesting name for the thing. And we get the last. So that moment is just like, oh, cool, giant space fight. So Bryce, what do you think of that? Of like Kirito in space, he still has his swords, and the girls, we got our fighter pilot ladies going, yeah, I don't think swords are really going to do anything.
Yeah.
But
Kirito has a bigger sword than they I was like, yes, one more excuse to scream in my closet. I mean, anytime we get to see Kirito power up further than he has in the past, I'm a fan. So full on God mode for these three at this point. It was pretty cool to see.
And then also we get Alice with the assist because she has her great weapon. So Kayli, how was that for you? Of like, okay, giant space monster, we got this.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I think like this is her first time back, and she'd probably been missing being this really super cool warrior lady. So she's like, yeah, I'm going to do stuff now. I can do stuff. Absolutely. I'm going to do all the things. So she's ready to go.
And then actually, I'm glad you said that. Reminded me of also, what was it like for, she's come back and calling out to the planet, I am back and I'm your daughter, which was really kind of an interesting and beautiful way for her to, how her connection to her home world. How was that scene for you to act that out?
That was emotional. And that was also one of the hardest vocally to be able to get it out coming strong without being shrill at all. It had to be like completely like under control. Like she knew what she wanted. She knew how she felt about it in that moment. And yeah, it was just a very, very, very strong moment for her.
And I would also think to make it sound grounded too. It's like, hey, planet, I'm back.
Yeah.
Well, we did that a couple of times. I remember, Kayli.
Mm-hmm, we did.
Because we had some tech issues. And I remember one of the takes was just a little too crunchy. And so I think you had to turn down even more because you just got all that lung power hitting the microphone.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the last take that we kept?
I was, yeah. Were you?
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I was super happy. Yeah, I was super happy because, yeah, I mean, it's exactly what Carrie said. It's like it can be a weird moment, the stuff you're saying and stuff. And if you're not feeling the right things as you're saying it and it's not coming through your voice, then it's just, hey, planet, I'm back.
I got some chicken nuggies.
Yeah.
You want any?
So I liked how your voice kind of broke and stuff too. That's what I was hoping for. There was a moment where your voice kind of broke a little bit with the emotion, and it was like, oh, yeah, moving on.
Then I was going to say that moving on, that's the end of where we see them there. And it's wonderfully open-ended of like, wait, what? Because I want to know what happens when they go down to the planet. If they go down to the planet, we get our moment of Kirito at the doorframe of Kirito will return. So dramatic and everything, but by himself, because it's like, wait a minute, hold up. And then we also see the ocean floor with some other weird kind of bodies that look a little bit more like, wait a minute, where are we? But we see the hand, which I'm going to go with is our robot that went down to the bottom of the ocean.
That's Kayaba's robot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Kayaba, yeah.
But there seems to be a lot of other helmets down there. So who are the other bodies down there that there seems to be more trash down there than I was expecting, besides like the one robot? I'm like, yeah, sure, but maybe it just looked like other bodies. Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Okay,
all
well,
that's going on down there is Kayaba in that robot outfit connected to the internet. So he's got his hand on it, and he's doing what he's doing.
So we'll see where that goes. So wonderfully open-ended. So we'll go around and how we feel about where it leaves at the end. And we'll start with, there we go. Cherami, how do you feel we've left the show at this moment? If you could say what happens next, what would you think Asuna would do next?
I don't even know, because I feel like the way each season has ended, I haven't been able to predict what the next season will be. Like, I never know where the pivot is going to go. The only thing that I have always said, and I believe will always be consistent, is I will cry at some point in the future season. And the stakes will get higher than they were in the previous season. And I thought after War of Underworld, I was like, how can the stakes get higher even? But they find a way. And I don't know. I don't know where you go once you're in space. Obviously, I saw all of the trailers and the information about Progressive. So that's kind of where I thought if they were going to start animating again, that would be where the shift goes. But as far as like where this picks up, I don't know.
All right. And next one over, Kayli, what about you?
Yeah, I also have absolutely no idea. But now that Kirito and Asuna, the Star Lord and Queen versions are not there, I feel like Alice is probably going to go back to being like she's the main protector of the underworld. I feel like her priority is probably waking up her sister. So I hope there's a reunion there. I haven't read ahead. I have no idea either. And then I'm sure we're gonna have some drama going on based on that ending. And Alice is gonna be there to support the gang now. So I look forward to if that does get animated. That would be great to see. So.
And Bryce, I'm seeing quite a few fun ones for Kirito will return with a little bit more of a shift in a Marvel movie.
I have no idea what's going to happen next, but we know that Kirito will return, or we hope that Kirito will return. So that made me very happy to see him just holding his swords in the original Aincrad outfit. Made me very happy and nostalgic, and very hopeful for what they have planned for Progressive. I feel like there's so many moments that they could dive in deeper in sword art from the past, and that Aincrad arc for sure is one that I would love to see more of. And this arc was really awesome that they did not rush it. Alicization, is much longer than the previous seasons. So that made me really happy that they took their time. They did it right. They really fleshed things out and built this world. And I thought it was really interesting how they wrapped it up. And I would have loved to see more God mode Kirito fights, but that they probably wouldn't be fair. He'd win too fast.
I like this one. Klein will get some screen time.
My
favorite. So we're having some other theories on development for Aincrad. All right, we'll just have to see. I'm loving everybody's comments and theories.
That would be so great.
Yay. Alex, any thoughts on where it ends at this moment for you?
I mean, if there's a big ass Cthulhu space monster out there, what the hell's going on down in the underworld? I can't even imagine. I hope everybody's okay.
Right? You're just like, I really hope everyone's fine and everything. I'm looking at some other kind of final sign out people's. Yay. Thank you, everybody who has
Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, thank you.
I feel like if that is the case, then Asuna is going to have to kill one of those tentacle monsters by herself, just to really wipe the slate clean from her past. Once and for all, you are done. That would be a great full circle completion healing moment.
Yes,
so much trauma from that season.
This show's like, hey, let's bring back some other fun and weird, awkward themes. Yay! No, just kidding.
I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if all of the villains that we had dealt with showed up in space? like that we thought we had destroyed.
Mm.
They're back.
We've seen
Wow.
other characters come
Ultimate
back,
boss
so
fight.
you know, I'd say
That could be
anything's
tricky.
possible on this show. Yay. Fans. Oh, well, there we go. Good one to end with. Thank you, Ken. Whoop, not that one. But thank you. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, hearing your voice. Yay. Thank you for that. All right. So we're towards the end of
listening to us scream and go through all this stuff for so many years. Appreciate the support.
Yes, and then hopefully we'll see more of all of you in future SAO. Bryce, probably not as much right now because we're not physically interacting with people, but have you done the Kirito Yu-Gi-Oh handshake?
Yeah, actually, we practiced a little bit. I tried to practice on my own during that first kind of arc of Alicization. So yeah, I feel like we got a couple of them done pretty well. Anytime we kind of pass, we'd give it a go, and I would typically mess it up. But I feel like at least once or twice we did it perfectly. We were both like, yes, that was awesome. So, yeah, we got it.
Yes. So wrapping up here, any final, thank you. Great question. Any final messages to the fans of SAO for the years? We don't know if there will be more per se or what it will be, because this does feel like it could be at least a pause for a while. It's one of the, but yes, we'll go around, we'll start again at the top. So Cherami.
I mean, I remember the very first time that Bryce and I went to a convention to preview. It was my first time. I think you'd gone to one before, but they did a screening for the first 2 episodes. And we walked into what I thought was a pretty large screening room, and there was nobody in the room. And I looked at Bryce. I was like, oh man, this is not going to be good. We have an autograph signing tomorrow, and like nobody came. And then he rushed in, talked to somebody at the convention, and said they're trying to get us a bigger room or see if they can add a screening. We have like 10 times the amount of people that will fit in this room. And then walking with Bryce to that first signing and seeing I could not have imagined the support from the fans. And I can say with absolute assurance that the only reason that we've had the movies and the seasons and the opportunity to dub them is because of the fans supporting it, watching it, and being so interactive and so kind. And I will be forever grateful that you guys responded to this series, and furthermore, that you embraced us and the dub as you were enjoying the series. So there really are not enough words that I will ever be able to find to articulate how much being a part of this show has meant to me, and how much you guys embracing our involvement has meant to me.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, like what do I say now?
What's your experience, Kayli? Everybody's answer is the right answer because it's your feelings of it. There's no wrong answer. It's your experience. So yes, Kayli, what would you like to say to the fans out there?
Having like started as a fan of like all of you guys for one, and then being embraced as a part of the series, and being treated as an equal and somebody who's, you know, a part of this, and I'm just like, oh, why is she here? that's meant a lot to me. That's meant a lot to me. It's still something that's crazy for me to think about on a daily basis, and I think I said that like 8 times today, but that's just because it still is. It still blows my mind. And it's also just how SAO has grown here. Like the fan base is amazing. And I remember going into AX to see the preview of War of Underworld, and I couldn't get into the room myself because it was so full so quickly. Like I couldn't get there in time. And I was like, please let me in. I want to see. They're like, no.
You're like, no, you don't understand.
Please.
But
Industry badge.
Yeah, I tried. They're like, I was like, okay.
No.
I remember I tried to get in another panel. I tried to get backstage to see you guys because I just wanted to say hi. and some other people somehow managed to get back there, and they just like would not let me until they had to let me because I was by the exit doors and people started stopping me to ask for autographs. And it was blocking the way, and I was like, I would love to, but like it was blocking everyone getting out. I was like, now will you let me back, please? I'm trying not to cause problems. I promise.
Help me not be a safety hazard.
I know. It was also very lovely though, and seeing people recognize me and like saying such great things about the show and the performance and the dub, like that just warmed my heart so much. Like I would have never expected that to be my life and to currently be my life. And you've all just been so wonderful to me, and you're such wonderful people that I look up to, and I am happy to call you my friends.
Aw.
We're all like, everybody, I hope you brought your tissues.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bryce, what about you?
I mean, where do I start? Like the show has been such a big part of my life for so long. And the fans have been incredible from the very beginning, from the first time that I was able to announce and talk about it. I was actually at a convention, and Cherami, you're right. I was at one other event before we hung out at, I believe,
Anime Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
We had so much fun that weekend. But I was at an event in Seattle, Sakura-Con, and they had the SAO panel scheduled for Saturday. They hadn't announced me yet, but I was a guest of the event, without Kirito to my name yet. And Friday, they had a dinner where you got to hang out and talk pretty closely with a lot of people. And I sat down at a table and there was a Kirito cosplayer across from me.
Oh,
and
no.
I didn't know I was Kirito yet. So I sat down and I'm like, wow, your cosplay is amazing. And by the way, there was like 100 Kirito cosplayers that weekend. And no one knew I was Kirito yet. And I ran and took selfies with like as many as I could. I was like loaded with Kirito selfies. So I was at dinner with a Kirito cosplayer and I was freaking out inside, but trying to like hold it in. I'm like, wow, what character are you? That looks so interesting. And I didn't say that I was playing the character, but he told me all about the show. And I just like that moment sticks in my head of just like wanting to tell him so bad and sitting next to a Kirito cosplayer. And then he saw me the next day after I was announced. He's like, how did you do that? Why?
Why did you say anything?
Why did you say anything? And, yeah, it was great. So I've just had so many moments with fans throughout the years and have just been blown away by the intensity of the love for the show and the like being able to live in that excitement has just been so much fun. And I hope that you guys can tell by my performance in a lot of the fun moments that I'm really enjoying myself. I don't know if you can tell by some of the bloopers that I've left in the show that I'm really enjoying myself, and Alex and I are having such a great time. And in some of the tougher moments for Kirito, I've really put a lot of real emotion into those scenes and a lot of what I had been feeling and opened up real wounds. And I hope that came through also. And the show will always be so special, and those moments will always be so special to me. So I just hope we get to do this more. That's why I think
the Portuguese breakfast.
I was like almost gonna
you had to bring it up. So and now I gotta explain myself. Like, how did this happen? I was in the session.
Oh no.
Opened up my phone and looked up the Urban Dictionary word of the day. I was looking for the worst thing I could say.
What was the word of the day?
And that was featured on Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary, Bryce.
Oh my gosh. I opened it up and I'm like, that is the worst thing I've ever heard.
I must put it in the show.
In this line. So, in those moments when I like see that, don't Google it.
Everyone's going to now.
My gosh.
I vividly remember, and someone has it on, they filmed this panel. It was like Bryce and I's first convention together, or maybe second convention together. but we found out about chapter 16.5 at the same time together because someone's like, can you guys read it? And we're like, oh, if it should be fine. We'll find it. And Bryce's like, when you find it, just let me know. And he keeps talking. I'm scrolling. And I was like, okay, we can't read the first paragraph. And like kept scrolling. And he was like, did you find it? I go, we can't read this. And so I slid the phone over to him. He goes, we can't read this. And like, we tried for so long to figure out, like, maybe we can like try to like G-rated or PG rated. And we're like, it's, you can't unrated R that at all.
When I let these bloopers out, I literally do them to make Alex and the engineer and sometimes Heroaway just laugh. Like, that's my goal. Either like
and every time you do,
or just say the most disgusting things possible as Kirito, thinking like no one will ever see this. It's just gonna stay here. But when
now they'll always see it.
When they played the bloopers at Anime Expo, that one made it into the cut, and I was dying of laughter. Like tears were rolling down my face, and I was like, "What have I released on the world?" And since then,
the Portuguese breakfast
we've seen in the show every single time.
Yeah, wait a second. You did
don't look it up. Don't look it up.
You did drop one of those in Alicization.
Yep.
I don't think you dropped one in War of Underworld, though.
No.
Just Alicization.
Yeah, it's so much more difficult to let those bloopers go when you're dealing with all of the technology problems and you're nervous things are going to cut out and you're nervous about time and all that. But
see? I wasn't lying, folks. I wasn't lying.
I was telling them about how Ella now does your Kirito screams around the house, and they're quite good.
Oh yeah, we've had a few scream offs actually.
Yeah, she's getting to the point now where she could be like, "Dad, I'll voice match you for today if you're not feeling up to it," and like sub in.
Oh my gosh! And now she's taught Griffin, so it's both of them going at each other as I'm trying to record. That's why I built this studio. It's so quiet in here. It's amazing.
It's your fault. Your children are so smart, Bryce.
Samantha, it's my fault they're so loud too, and I think it is.
Well, so how is it living in a house full of screaming people?
Samantha is so not. She is so like quiet and calm, and
she's learned to live with it.
She balances it all out.
Yeah.
All right, and then Alex, I felt we went off on a tangent in Bryce's stories, but Alex, for you, was there anything else you wanted to add for how you feel at the end of where we are now?
Oh, I mean, it's been really fun to be a part of it throughout all these different iterations. The fans, obviously, Cherami, Bryce, and Kayli, said pretty much everything that could be said about that. It's, I knew Hiroe at Aniplex, our fearless producer. She told me that it was a pretty popular show, and that they were kind of sparing no expense at trying to make this dub really work, so that the English speaking part of the world could also see it. I wasn't. When I saw the Sword Art, when I saw the audience at the Sword Art panels, that's when it kind of hit me. Oh my God, a lot of people care about this show. And Bryce, whenever Bryce or Cherami would come in for a session on Sword Art or something else, after they were at a convention, they tell me stories about the fans, and they would, it was always be like, oh my God, you won't believe how many people were in this room. And there were people standing outside too. And, it went like a half hour over, and, those kinds of things. I'm glad that we've been able to help make something that makes people happy at the end of the day. it's so I feel really good about at least putting that out into the world instead of causing something, or instead of working on something that makes people miserable or whatever. We're making something that gives them this wonderful adventure with all these characters who have these like emotional, sort of big emotional beats that are all sort of tied into being mature and growing up. And that's it's been fun. I always look forward to the next batch, which hopefully I'll be involved in. If not, hey, good luck, you guys. But yeah, we couldn't. I mean, it wouldn't still be going on if it wasn't for the fans. And so yeah, thank you guys for caring.
I'm kind of curious on this one. Would we ever hear? Wait, where'd it go? There we are. So, would we ever hear you do a voice, Alex?
Oh, I mean, no, I'm not an actor. I stepped in to do like a couple of things. I think I was one of the class presidents in Kill la Kill. That Ryuko is like. There's a quick montage of Ryuko like beating all these kooky class presidents, and I was the origami class president. And the only reason I played him was because the person who was cast was also cast as like 3 other class presidents, and they were done. Like they didn't have any more voices. We could tell it was the same person. So I figured it's just one line. It gets interrupted by Ryuko slashing the guy. I'll just do it. And I think in Blue Exorcist, there was a creature that this one actor, this veteran voice actor, was hired to do. It was the Kraken. Remember that, Bryce? I told you about that, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So that Kraken screaming or whatever. Yeah, that was an actor had to do that. That wasn't in the effects track. So this veteran voice actor was like, oh yeah, I can't do this. I got a Mattel job come, right after this. I'm not going to thrash my voice. And and he's got this rich, smooth voice, and I'm like, yeah, no, okay, yeah, we're not doing that. And so I remembered for those Kraken lines, it took me half an hour to do like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these screeching, like something that Bryce could do, or Cherami or Kayli, that you guys could do probably in just like a take or two. This was like multiple takes laced together, as much lung power as I could put behind it just to extend the length of it. Yeah.
Creatures are hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I struggle with creatures. I don't know if I would have been able to do that.
It's I mean that kind of a creature I'd rather just do that myself than have a voice actor do it, unless the voice actor has fun doing stuff like that, because it was really throat ripping. It was real throat ripping. Yeah. And of course, since I'm not a trained actor, I'm not a trained vocalist or anything like that, I can't protect my voice. So it's, I'm just like, I'm remembering, I'm trying to remember all the things that I've been taught over the years by like Mona Marshall and, different people. And I'm going, okay, so I gotta kind of just project and it just goes out the window. Once it's like, beep, 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 I'm like, ah! And then of course I can't talk for an hour afterwards.
Well, speaking of other shows and other projects, as we wrap up here, what are projects that you're working on that you can let people know about? Anything that's also recently come out, or maybe a little bit ago, that people haven't gone around to seeing yet. So remind them that it's out there. And where can people find you online? We'll start with, there we go. Okay. And we'll start with Cherami.
I'm on Twitter at Cherami Leigh and on Instagram at CLKstar. Recently, a feature that I found out got released is called Morona's Fantastic Adventure, which is a really fun film that I got to work on. And then there's a live action dub that just came out on Apple TV, Losing Alice, which was very fun to work on. Cyberpunk 2077. I'm in Pokemon on Netflix. And I think that's all I'm allowed to say that I know. And then I just relaunched Love and Light on Patreon. So that's been a fun project.
Very cool. Thank you. And Kayli?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm so bad at this. Twitter, Instagram at Kayli Mills, or TikTok at the Donut Gremlin. I post chaotic content, not regularly. I also do have YouTube. I do some covers. So I'd really appreciate it if you could check out my music or stream it on Spotify. If you just search my name, it'll come up. That's all I really have to say right now. I'm really bad at remembering things in the moment. But if you go to any of those places, you will find a great many things that may have nothing to do with acting, but may be fun.
Hey, that works. It's go follow you so they can be up to date. Yes, exactly. And Bryce.
You can follow me at Bryce Papenbrook on Twitter and Instagram. And new stuff, a video game that I worked on with Alex just dropped. It's called East. It's the 9th one, right, Alex?
Yeah, East 9. Monstrum Nox.
Monstrum Nox. Yeah, looks really, really fun. Definitely check that game out. On Toonami, Attack on Titan is still running its final season. I've been having so much fun watching Titan and then Sword Art, so I'm sad to see the Power Hour go away. But I'll still be there yelling in Titan. And then late night
showing Demon Slayer.
Yeah, late night Demon Slayer definitely will be yelling in that show as Inosuke yells the whole time. Demon Slayer movie is coming. And I'm always so nervous I'm going to break NDA. I have a bunch of stuff out there and I'm not sure where it is in the announcement piece of it. Well, I'll give a little hint to everyone watching on something I never announced. I play another character in the series somewhere in Sword Art Online. My voice is there. And it is a character that I was so excited to play. And if you guys find it and you tag me, and this is one that I'm not credited for. So find it, take a snippet of it, and tag me, and I'll tell you if you're right. Good luck on the treasure hunt, guys.
I can't believe you haven't said anything yet.
It's been years.
Oh my God.
Wait, so this is the older...
I'm not going to tell you guys when or where or who, but it's there, and I watched it back, and it's stuck. It's so good.
Like it's still there.
It's still there. It is so good.
I feel like I know what this is, but I'm not even 100% sure.
You know, there's not many opportunities in an actor's career that they can witness a role and say, I would love to play this part.
And they say, sure, here you go.
If this comes true, I get to play this particular part in this particular show. And my wish came true in this part of Sword Art Online. It is a beautiful thing. And I haven't said anything ever. So good luck, guys.
Wow. Yeah, good luck finding it.
I was going to say, you're leaving it very open. Wow. Any hint of what arc, or are you going to leave it all? Okay.
No. Good luck.
It's somewhere in Sword Art Online proper, like all of Sword Art Online. So it's somewhere in all of Sword Art Online.
Well, that's
that would be quite the rewatch. Yes.
So yeah, no, Bryce actually went up to Hiroe and said, Hiroe, please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember it. Hiroe laughed. She was like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" And Bryce was like, "Yes." I have to do this. I have to do this. And I'll be damned. He came in and recorded it. That was
man.
the role I was born to play.
It was awesome.
Well, wait, can you say if it's in a
my
movie
God.
or is it in the
You
show?
won't tell anything.
Can't say, that would be too
Sorry, guys.
specific.
Okay, this is
Now
true.
It's in the Sword Art franchise that has been dubbed. He's in there as another character,
I think
and
I
you
know.
never guess it. You'll never guess it.
I think
Good
I
luck,
know, but
guys.
I'm not sure.
You'll
All
never guess
right.
it.
Nice.
I'll slowly leak more hints out years.
Okay, there you go. Years from now.
Years to come.
It's
He's
a
gonna
long
keep dropping
run.
little hints, and then he'll announce it when Sword Art the next season is released.
If they ever say like this is the final season of the show, on the very last episode when that plays, I'll announce it. If no one gets it by then.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of
Oh,
somewhere to
no.
go find people, Alex, where can people find you online, and any projects that are recent or even a little bit ago that people haven't gotten around to yet?
Oh, you can just find me at Twitter. That's the only place I'm at in the social media world. Let's see.
And the voice of Death Gun.
and the Twitter.
The Twitter voice of Death Gun. Mhm.
One of them. One of them. There's two. There's multiple Death Guns.
That was very fun.
I mean, there's no. I mean, Sword Art's done, so I'm done with Sword Art. I'm working on something now, which I can't say what it is, obviously, because we literally just started recording it last week. There's something coming out later this year, but I can't say anything. We just wrapped recording on that. That was a 2 years long process. Yeah, there's really nothing I can talk about. I mean, East 9 Monstrum Nox is the only thing that, I mean, it's out on what, PS4 or something first?
Yes.
Or PS5, and then it's coming out on Switch and something later on, Switch and Xbox later on this year. But yeah, that was something that we recorded remotely over the summer of last year, which was really cool because I got to work with a bunch of people I'd never worked with before. I'd only heard of them. And of course, Bryce's character finally actually has like a bunch of dialogue in it.
More than just, huh!
Yeah. And so that was
Konosuba?
cool. Yeah, oh, that's right. Of course. Yeah, the Konosuba movie, which Kayli's a part of that, as she plays Union, everybody's favorite Crimson Demon. Well, next to Megumin, Kayli, no offense.
So are there two Konosuba movies or just one? Someone's like, wait, there's a Konosuba movie?
Yeah, it's called Konosuba Legend of Crimson. So yeah, it's been out for a while. The dub actually dropped on New Year's Day this year.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, there's that. Thanks for reminding me. That was fun to work on, although it was weird. We recorded half of it in 2019, and my last session before COVID shut everything down for a couple of weeks was Konosuba.
I think that's
was the best.
the last day before quarantine started, I think, was like my last union session for the movie.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Robbie came in to record Vanir, and he was the last session before they shut us down. They shut everything down the next day, and so it was weird. Like we had half of the movie finished. Quite a few of the main characters, like Kayli, we've finished recording Kayli, I think, within a couple of sessions, like 3 sessions or 4 sessions over the course of a week, because you were busy. And then it just sat there, like half finished until December.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like I don't know what was going on. I think it probably had something to do with just, Crunchyroll had all this other stuff on their plate that they, and because we were when we started recording before COVID became a thing, the idea was Crunchyroll wanted to have it ready for, like, I think one of the conventions, and they were going to premiere it there, and but COVID screwed everything up, and then it was like, well, I guess we got to go move on with whatever other programming things we have. And so it didn't fit anywhere in their schedule. And so it became like kind of pushed off to the side.
Yeah.
Until, and then of course, studios needed to figure out how to start recording, but then they get booked up with other jobs and stuff. It was a nightmare. But then, in December, it was like, okay, we're doing Konosuba for the next 2 weeks and we're finishing it up. And it was like, holy shit.
Yay. Well, it's available that people can go watch it now. So
yeah, I know. It's great. If you haven't seen Konosuba, the sub and the dub are both available on Crunchyroll and including the movie. Yes, there's a movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Either one, sub or dub. I think they're both hilarious. I hope you like it. It was a cool little show to work on, and that's kind of like the anti-sword art.
Yeah.
And then yes, exactly. At least it got finished. So
Yes.
yay.
Yeah,
and
we did finish it.
released.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
That's always
released.
important.
This is true. Yay. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right.
I will.
There is something that Cherami and I worked on a couple years ago now.
It is one of the coolest things I have ever gotten to work on, and it is one of my favorite things ever. And no one will ever see it.
Nope.
Oh.
I had someone came up to me and say, "Hey, I just mixed this, and I want to say I did not know that this was a dub. You guys, this was so solid." And I was like, "I can't wait for people to see it." And they're like, "There's no way it's not going to get released. People love it, and then it's not going to get released."
Yeah.
It's always so hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of scavenger hunt, though, we have a very good question. Bryce, is there a prize if anybody guesses it?
Sure.
Undying gratitude.
I'll give you a prize. I'll DM you. I'll send you something cool. And again, like, it's not something I'm credited for. So if you search online and you find like another character other than Kirito that has my name attached, that's not the answer.
Did someone else get credited for it, or just nobody's ever? Okay.
So good luck.
There would be the tedious way of like match up, but
yeah,
good to know. Yay,
kind of help.
There's a lot of characters in Sword Art.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
the hunt is on.
The hunt is on.
Well, thank you everybody who was in our live chat. Loved all the questions. Thank you everybody on the panel for answering all of them.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for being here. All of you can go. There we go. Fine. I'm like, it's weird and backwards. So if anybody's like, why are they? Yeah. You can find me online. There we go. Carrie Z Lane on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. So on Instagram, I have hour-long interviews with voice actors as well. TikTok has a mix of like anime-y stuff. And you're here on my YouTube. So welcome. Click the thumbs up, subscribe. Also cover American Gods. So a shift, but also like, creative and out there kind of show. And huge thank you everybody who has watched along this way, or if you're just joining now, it's awesome to see all of your comments, everybody who joined us live or watched later, and everybody again who commented on Twitter. And a huge thank you to all the actors who joined along this process, because we've all had to adapt, and it's been amazing to keep this going. And I thank all of you who showed on. There's a lot of names to list. I'll probably list you all on Twitter. But yes, and everybody who joined today, it's been so rewarding to talk about the show with all of you and hearing your perspectives on everything and really deep diving into this show. Because as we all know, it's been around for a long time. It's a big part of a lot of people's lives and probably all of your lives because you worked on it. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for letting me crash.
Thanks for letting us get to celebrate and talk about the show together.
It's been
one of these
my
days.
pleasure. Yes. And then hopefully we'll
One
all
of
be
these
doing
days
this in
will be-
person. Yes. soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No snacks.
Yes. With donuts. Kayli's going to bring us the prime donuts and tell us where to get the right donuts from. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you. Much love to everybody.
Aw.
We do the finger
Awesome.
hearts
Cool.
and then this hearts. And then, that's so cute. Yay.
That's
Awesome.
cool.
Well, everybody, thank you again. Much love and stay safe. And we'll see you on the next one. So
Thanks again, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.